Hi, and welcome to this live reading from In the Silence of Darkness by Lisa Dietrich, and this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Prologue. I am in a dense, shadowy tangle of trees. The air is thick with an eerie silence that seems to swallow all sound. Standing at the entrance of a cave, its mouth resembling a gaping maw, I feel an ancient energy emanating from the dark interior. I know I am supposed to enter, but I am afraid. A low growl rumbles behind me, and I turn to find a jaguar emerging from the shadows. Its coat is black as midnight, but in the dim light I can see rosettes shifting beneath the surface like hidden stars wheeling across the night sky. What strikes me most are its eyes, amber gold and unnervingly human, filled with an intelligence that makes my heart race for the reasons that have nothing to do with fear. The jaguar circles me slowly, its muscled body moving with fluid grace. Each time it passes, it draws closer until I can feel the heat radiating from its body. Its tail brushes against my leg, sending shivers up my spine. There's something almost protective in the way it positions itself between me and the darkness. I hesitate at the threshold, and a vision serpent appears before us, its scales glistening with a supernatural glow. The jaguar tenses beside me, a warning growl vibrating through its chest. But the serpent's eyes lock onto mine, and I feel my consciousness shift. The jaguar presses against my leg as if urging me to stay, but I find myself walking into the cave. The jaguar follows, its presence both reassuring and unsettling, like a half-remembered dream trying to tell me something important. Time and space become distorted. The walls pulse with life, echoing with distant whispers that grow louder as I venture deeper. And then I see her. Nayla stands at the edge of an underground lake, her eyes vacant, her skin pallid as if drained of life. Our father stands beside her, his hand resting on her shoulder. His presence is both comforting and distressing. Our father is dead. Why is he standing next to Nayla? There can be no rebirth without death. The words, coming from nowhere and everywhere, reverberate inside the chamber. The water surface ripples ominously, and a white snake emerges. It wraps around Nayla's legs and slithers up her torso. The jaguar snarls, its fur bristling as it crouches beside me. For a moment, its form seems to waver like heat rising from sun-baked stone, almost taking on a human shape. An owl flies through the dark, landing on my father's outstretched arm. My father disappears, transforming into untamed, the Maya god of death, his malevolent smile taunting me. The jaguar springs forward but passes through untamed like smoke. Run! Run, Nayla! I scream. Nayla turns her empty eyes toward me. There can be no rebirth without death. I watch in horror as the snake crawls into my sister's mouth and the skin melts from her bones. The jaguar's roar splits the darkness, something ancient and wild that makes my blood sing with recognition. As the shadows consume us, those amber eyes are the last thing I see. Chapter 1. The average person lives 28,000 days. That's roughly 4,000 weeks. My twin sister? She lived each day as if the universe might cut her time short, as if she knew something the rest of us didn't. Brave, brash, utterly fearless, she was everything I wasn't. Nayla was always dragging me into situations I would prefer to avoid, like flying in a very small plane 500 feet above the endless green sprawl of the Guatemalan jungle. I squinted against the harsh light as I stared out of the window. Below me, the jungle stretched in every direction, an unbroken expanse of emerald with winding rivers snaking through it like veins. There was nothing but wild, untamed nature as far as I could see. "It won't be much longer," Raoul, the pilot, shouted over the loud drone of the engines, his voice crackling over the headset. I nodded absently, my eyes fixed on the endless canopy below, searching for the archaeological site. I wasn't here for the beauty of the landscape. Nayla and I called ourselves almost twins. We were twins, but we did not share a birthday. I was born at 11:54 p.m. Nayla was born the next morning at 12:19 a.m. Our mother liked to say we were two sides of the same coin. Our father called me his Hija de la Luna, daughter of the moon. Nayla was his Hija del Sol, daughter of the sun. There was never any doubt who generated the light and who reflected it in my relationship with my sister. Our father had died when we were young, murdered in Guatemala. He had been a lawyer and indigenous rights activist fighting for injustice, fighting against injustice. For Nayla and me, his absence became a presence, the ghost that haunted our childhood. Nayla embraced our father's Guatemalan legacy like a second skin, wrapping it herself in his stories, his traditions, his dreams, by studying to become an archaeologist and an expert on the ancient Maya. Me? I ran from it, staying as far away as I could from Guatemala as I built a fortress of facts and logic to control the messiness and chaos of life in law school. As I glanced out the window of the plane, a sudden memory surfaced unbidden. Nayla and I, barely 6 years old, crouched in our backyard digging furiously with plastic shovels. "We're going to find buried treasure, Niki," Nayla had exclaimed, her green eyes shining with excitement. I remember pausing, frowning at the deepening hole. But what if we dig too deep and fall into the underworld?" Nayla had laughed, tossing her ponytail. "Then we'll fight the lords of death and become heroes." I smiled wryly at the memory. At 25 years old, Nayla was still digging for treasure. "Over there," Raoul pointed out the window, his finger tracing a distant shape. I followed his gesture and saw it, a stone pyramid, ancient and weathered, rising above the trees like a forgotten relic. Scattered around it were splashes of blue, orange, and red, the tents and tarps of the archaeological team, dotting the jungle floor like confetti in the green abyss. Raoul dipped the nose of the plane, aiming for a narrow strip of red dirt wedged between the towering walls of jungle. It didn't look like much of a runway, more like a thread of earth barely wide enough for us. My stomach lurched as we banked sharply, the small plane shuddering with the shift. I gripped the armrests tighter, my knuckles white. "No te preocupes," Raoul's voice crackled through my headset again. "It'll be a soft landing." I forced a tight smile, though my stomach disagreed. He chuckled, clearly enjoying himself. As we approached the landing strip, something caught my eye on the horizon. A ridge of darkness, shimmering like smoke, undulated just above the treetops. I blinked, leaning closer to the window. Was it a fire? No, there were no flames, no smoke rising into the air. It wasn't smoke at all. It was something else. I inhaled deeply, willing myself to keep calm as I watched the canopy below ripple, as if something massive moved beneath the surface. The trees shifted unnaturally, like the jungle itself was alive. I pressed my forehead against the cool glass, heart racing as a shadow rolled over the treetops, moving fast, swallowing the jungle in its path. I glanced at Raoul, but he was focused on the landing, completely unaware of the strange phenomenon. Lately, I'd been seeing things out of the corner of my eye. Shadows that moved with intent and shapes that seemed almost alive. I dismissed them as stress-induced hallucinations, but I was beginning to worry that they might be something more. I turned back to the window, my breath catching in my throat. The shadow was gaining on us, closing the distance between the jungle and our plane. It was like a wave, dark, roiling, and alive, rising from the depths of the forest. It swept toward us with terrifying speed, and I braced myself for impact. The plane shuddered violently. "Turbulence!" Raoul shouted over the roar of the engines, gripping the controls as we descended. Muscles tense, I twisted in my seat to look behind us just in time to see the shadow crash against some invisible barrier surrounding the archaeological site. It was as if the air itself was a shield holding back the darkness. The wave of shadow slammed into the barrier, cresting and curling like a wave breaking on a shore before collapsing in on itself. It pooled in swirling dark patches among the trees, then slowly seeped away, vanishing as if it had never been there at all. The plane bounced as we touched down on the dirt landing strip, and a flash of movement caught my eye. Hidden within the dense canopy, a figure emerged briefly, like a mirage materializing from the jungle's depths. A man, black hair, his skin the color of burnished bronze, stared at us. There was something vaguely familiar about him. For a heartbeat, our eyes met. His eyes were an impossible shade of gold. I blinked. When I looked again, he had vanished. "There can be no rebirth without death." The voice echoed in my mind, an eerie, whispered memory, the same phrase that I'd been hearing in my dreams for weeks. Nayla's voice. An icy chill crawled down my spine despite the heat pressing in around me. I closed my eyes, trying to shake the feeling, but the dread lingered, gnawing at my insides. What the hell had Nayla gotten us into this time?